In a riveting and thought-provoking presentation, renowned Harvard biologist Dr. Elias Vance takes center stage to address a deeply alarming, yet frequently overlooked health crisis, the global epidemic of chronic metabolic diseases. With commanding presence and scientific clarity, Dr. Vance urges the world to reevaluate its priorities and refocus attention on what he calls a silent killer, a crisis not splashed across headlines or dramatized in television news segments, but one that is quietly shortening lives and undermining health on a vast, global scale. He begins with a powerful analogy. Every day, people fear dramatic, isolated catastrophes. Think of deadly airplane crashes, horrific car accidents, or wild animal attacks. These events grip our imagination and dominate media coverage because of their suddenness and intensity. But in reality, the biggest threat to human life isn't sudden or cinematic. It's slow, pervasive, and tragically normalized. Dr. Vance delivers a sobering truth. Every year, chronic metabolic diseases account for approximately 50 million premature deaths worldwide. To give his audience a sense of the magnitude, he breaks it down in more human terms. That number is equivalent to 504 major transportation disasters, like a fully loaded Boeing 747 crashing, happening every single year. That's more than 1,380 crashes per day, every day of the year. Yet, unlike plane crashes that shock and devastate, these deaths happen quietly in homes, in hospitals, in nursing facilities, and the tragedy often goes unspoken. Understanding the enemy. What are metabolic diseases? Dr. Vance explains that metabolic diseases are not isolated conditions. Rather, they represent a broad category of interrelated health problems. These include cardiovascular diseases like heart attacks and strokes, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, various forms of cancer linked to metabolic dysfunction, fatty liver disease, obesity, and its complications. All of these diseases, while varied in their symptoms and manifestations, typically stem from one fundamental biological issue: metabolic dysfunction. But what exactly is metabolic dysfunction? Dr. Vance breaks it down for the non-scientists in the room. At its core, metabolism is how our body converts food into energy. When this process is impaired, it sets off a chain reaction of biological failures, causing everything from blood sugar imbalances and excessive fat storage to inflammation, organ damage, and ultimately, chronic disease. These conditions are not acute injuries like a broken leg or an infection. They don't hit you suddenly. Instead, they creep up silently, over years, gradually degrading your health and energy. People find themselves exhausted by mid-afternoon. They grow dependent on daily medications. They lose mobility, feel constantly hungry, and battle with weight they just can't seem to shed. Dr. Vance calls this spiral a living demise, a state of prolonged suffering where people remain technically alive, but are no longer truly living. Insulin resistance. The root of the crisis. If there is one villain at the heart of this public health disaster, Dr. Vance says, it's insulin resistance. Insulin is a hormone produced by the pancreas that plays a crucial role in regulating blood sugar. After you eat, carbohydrates are broken down into glucose, which enters your bloodstream. Insulin acts like a key, unlocking your cells so they can absorb that glucose and use it for energy. However, in today's world of excessive refined carbohydrates and sugar-laden diets, the system is overwhelmed. Your body is bombarded with glucose again and again: morning cereal, midday snacks, sweetened drinks, bread-heavy lunches, and sugar-loaded dinners. Over time, your cells become desensitized to insulin. They stop responding to its signals. In response, your pancreas goes into overdrive, pumping out more and more insulin in a desperate effort to keep blood sugar in check. This chronically elevated insulin level is the hallmark of insulin resistance. It's not just a symptom, it's a full-blown metabolic disaster. What are the effects of this condition? Lipogenesis. Fat creation increases dramatically. Lipolysis. Fat burning is suppressed. Fat accumulates around the liver, abdomen, and organs. Energy levels plummet, leaving people tired and sluggish. Hunger signals become dysregulated, making it nearly impossible to feel full. People gain weight and find it extremely difficult to lose it. Insulin resistance doesn't announce itself with a loud warning. It builds in silence over years, even decades. By the time it's diagnosed, often via a blood sugar test or an A1C screen, the damage is already extensive. Blood vessels are inflamed, organs are stressed, the nervous system may already be compromised. It's a stealth attack, the biological equivalent of a slow-burning fire beneath the floorboards. Why today's diet is fueling a health catastrophe. A few generations ago, humans could tolerate occasional high-carb meals, but our ancestors didn't eat 3 to 6 high-carb meals a day, nor did they snack constantly or consume sweetened beverages with every meal. Their bodies had periods of low insulin and higher fat burning. Today, it's different. Dr. Vance explains that modern physiology is poorly adapted to today's food environment. The constant availability and overconsumption of refined carbohydrates have created what he calls carbohydrate intolerance. This isn't just about candy bars and soda. It's about foods that are marketed as healthy but still spike blood sugar and insulin levels, especially for people already struggling with metabolic dysfunction. Examples include certain whole grain breads that contain added sugars, low-fat yogurts loaded with hidden sweeteners, fruit juices with no fiber to slow sugar absorption. Even some high-sugar fruits, like bananas, grapes, and pineapples, can be problematic when eaten in excess. Worse still is the hidden sugar crisis. Americans consume an average of 17 teaspoons of added sugar per day, often without realizing it. Sugar hides in ketchup and salad dressings, breakfast cereals, even organic ones, granola bars, flavored coffees, processed meats, and frozen dinner stir. Vance singles out fructose, a sugar found in cane sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and many fruits as particularly dangerous. Unlike glucose, which is metabolized by many cells in the body, fructose is processed almost exclusively in the liver, where it rapidly contributes to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD. Over time, this can lead to liver inflammation, insulin resistance, and cirrhosis. The good news: this crisis is largely preventable and reversible despite the bleak statistics. Dr. Vance doesn't leave his audience in despair. On the contrary, he closes his presentation with a message of tremendous hope. According to the most recent data from leading metabolic research centers, as much as 80% of chronic metabolic diseases are preventable and many are reversible. This means that even if you've already been diagnosed with prediabetes, hypertension, or early-stage fatty liver disease, you can turn things around. But how? Dr. Vance outlines a series of powerful, science-backed lifestyle changes. Drastically reduce carbohydrate intake, especially refined and processed carbs. Eliminate added sugars, including sugary beverages and hidden sugars in packaged foods. Be cautious with fruit consumption. Opt for lower glycemic options like berries and avoid excessive intake of tropical fruits. Increase healthy fats such as olive oil, avocados, nuts, and fatty fish. Prioritize protein, which helps stabilize blood sugar and support lean muscle mass. Engage in regular physical activity, particularly strength training and walking after meals. Allow insulin levels to drop by practicing intermittent fasting or spacing out meals. Get sufficient sleep and manage chronic stress, both of which impact insulin sensitivity. Most importantly, he emphasizes that it's never too late to start. Whether you're 30 or 70, your body retains an astonishing capacity for healing. Within just a few weeks of dietary changes, many people report better energy, more stable moods, reduced cravings, improved blood markers, and most crucially, a renewed sense of control over their health.